Oh, yes. It is the most wonderful time of the year. That's right. It's the holidays, and we have a very special holiday edition of a Facebook Live straight from your friends at bestride.com. Today, we're going to be tackling the 12 winterizing tips for safe driving during the holidays. My name is Eliana Raggio. It's my pleasure to be your moderator today. And it's also my pleasure to introduce you to the guy who's got all the answers, bestride.com contributor Craig Fitzgerald. He began his automotive writing career in 1996 at autosite.com, one of the first online resources for car buyers. And over the years, he's written for the Boston Globe, Forbes magazine, and Haggerty. For 7 years, he was the editor of Hemmings Sports and Exotic Car. And today, we are lucky, my friends. He's the automotive editor at Drive Magazine, and he's here to help us out with all of our holiday driving. Thank you so much for being here, Craig. How are you? You're looking extremely festive today.
Well, thank you. I couldn't find an ugly sweater. I have my Holly Dolly t-shirt on. I hope I did my best.
I mean, you even wore the beard for me.
I did.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right, we have a lot to get to, and I'm so thankful, Craig, number one, of course, for you being here, but you're bringing us very, very important information. You know, not a lot of people think about winterizing their car that often, unless you're like a truck driver or something like that. You know, but
it's like when you change your smoke detector batteries. You know, a couple of times a year, it's a good time to really think about your car and how it's running and how you make it last through till the next time when you need to do, some kind of maintenance. So it's a great time to think about this.
I absolutely agree. And as somebody who actually was in a car accident on Christmas Eve morning.
Oh, no.
One year, like a few years, actually, it was over a decade ago, but it was really, really scary.
Yeah.
And it had to do with icy roads and another reckless driver and that kind of thing. So from that perspective, trust me, it really puts a damper on things. Trust me on that.
For sure.
So other than the obvious, why don't you tell everyone why people should care about winterizing their car? Will it really make that much of a difference?
It totally does. It's preventative maintenance. So it's just like the things that you do for your own health. You take your vitamins and do all these things to kind of stave off some issues that you can have down the road. So most of the things that we're talking about here are very preventative maintenance related, and it's really just the timing that we're trying to get to here. There's some specific, things for people in winter climates, but this is true, for people who live in Arizona too. There's some things that we need to talk about that it's just a good time to be thinking about.
I love this. Okay, and you came up with 12. Magic number.
12 maintenance items of the holidays. Yep.
All right, let's go. I say we get to number 1 on your list.
Sure.
I think this one kind of seems like a no-brainer, and I hope everyone's been paying attention to this part of their car. Let's talk about brakes.
Yeah.
What do we do to winterize our brakes?
so this is more than just the brake hardware, the rotors and pads and things. The key thing that nobody ever does is change the brake fluid. And there's a fluid that runs through the brake lines in your car. It's a specific hydraulic fluid, and it picks up moisture over time. And what it can do is rust the brake lines out from the inside. It can damage the hoses from the inside, the rubber hoses that are, kind of around, right where your wheels are. And, this is a maintenance item that really needs to be taken care of that nobody really does. So 50, 60,000 miles, that's the time you want to think about, replacing this brake fluid. You want to have a professional do this. You can do it at home, but I don't recommend it. It is a, messy, nasty job, and it's relatively inexpensive to do professionally.
Fair enough. Okay,
Sure.
But if you're having a professional look at the fluids and topping off those fluids, also check the brakes and the rotors, yes?
Exactly. So, brake rotors, brake pads, drums, if you have, drum brakes in the rear, those things are all need to be inspected on a regular basis. So, while you have the wheels off the car, you take a look at those. If they're down to, within 5 millimeters of spec, you probably want to have those things replaced.
Great advice. Now you said 50 or 60,000 miles for
Yeah,
brakes and that kind of thing. So, but people are driving their cars longer. So let's say you have a car that's more around 80, 90, 100,000.
right.
When's the time to get them checked again?
So you want to hit that. You want to hit those. Every time you hit 50,000 miles, it's really the time to be thinking about. Now, there's also things like warning signals, like you've got a brake light on, or your brakes aren't working the way you think they are. Those are emergency type things that you should be really taking notice of. But a 20, 25,000 mile intervals, 50,000 mile intervals for the fluid, I think and you will find this in your warranty and service information from the manufacturer too.
Excellent. All right, audience. That was number one.
Yep.
Wait till you see what's number two. Had me scratching my head a little bit.
Okay.
I have a hat on. But only because most people think about checking this during the summer months, but you say it's equally as important to check it even during the winter months, and that is coolant.
Right.
Tell me why coolant is important to check during the winter months.
Coolant really does two things. It resists boil over, right, in the summer months, and it resists freezing in the winter months. So it lowers the freezing temperature down well past 40 degrees, and then it raises the boiling point so that in the summertime you can drive around without the engine boiling over. It's important to have this stuff replaced on a regular basis. So your manufacturer will tell you whatever their recommendation is fine. But if you're up again at 50,000 miles, this is the time to really think about replacing this. And you want to do this preventatively because, what this stuff does is it collects a lot of contaminants because it's inside the engine. And, there's all kinds of things going on there. There's heat cycles. It's getting hot. It's getting cold. And eventually it breaks down and it picks up contaminants. You want to get rid of it. You just don't want this stuff running through your engine, for years and years and years without replacing it. This is another thing that I would recommend having done professionally. You can do it yourself, but it's, again, a messy job, and it's got ethylene glycol in it, and it's poisonous. So animals are attracted to it. You don't want to, have somebody's pets getting into this stuff and getting sick with it. So it's a good professional job. It's hard to get rid of too. So I think you want to stop with a shop to have somebody do that.
Yeah, and this isn't a very expensive maintenance item either.
No.
So, and I like what's number 3 on your list. It kind of goes hand in hand with number
Yep.
2. Tell us why we should care about our thermostat.
These next few things, they all go hand in hand, and if you can do them all at once, that's great. The thermostat, basically, when you start your engine, you want your engine to warm up as quickly as possible. So the thermostat keeps the coolant within the engine. And then when it reaches operating temperature, which is like, say it's 195 degrees, there's a little wax pellet inside that thermostat that spring allows this thing to open, and then it cycles the coolant throughout the radiator and the heater core. And it's like a $3 device. It will work until it doesn't, and then when it doesn't, you can boil the coolant that's in the engine over because it won't allow the coolant to circulate. So it's really important to have this done when you do your coolant replacement. It adds really relatively almost no cost to that replacement, but it's just a great preventative item to take care of.
Perfect. Okay, we're rolling
Yep.
right along. We
Sure.
are at number 4 on your list, and like you said, these all kind of go together. And I've heard so many stories about how this next problem can cause it can cause a lot of problems for anyone who doesn't check their belts and hoses.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about why that is so important.
So the belt is super important. There's only one on your car, on a modern car now, right? There used to be multiple belts. So if one failed, you could kind of handle some things with the other one. But the serpentine belt runs your water pump, it runs your power steering, it runs your alternator. So when that fails, basically everything stops working. And in a modern car with a lot of aluminum components, like aluminum heads, you can blow a head gasket really quickly if you overheat. So I've seen belts fail, like fall off the car because they were cracked and they just literally disintegrate. This can potentially turn from like $100 repair into multiple thousands because it can cause blown head gaskets, it can cause warped heads. So you really want to do this on a schedule. Whatever the schedule is provided by your manufacturer, find out what that is, replace the belts when you're supposed to. And there's warning signs too, like if the belt is shiny, if it looks cracked, obviously you want to replace it then too.
And hoses too?
Hoses, yeah. So that's where your coolant runs through two main engine hoses. And then you have heater hoses. This is how you get heat in your car, is the coolant runs through these smaller hoses into a heater core that's inside the passenger compartment. And so there's two rubber hoses that go to those things. And if one of those fails, all your coolant comes out. It's like your washer and dryer hose, or your clothes washer hose. You want to replace those on a regular basis too, because water's running through them. They will fail at the worst possible moment.
Oh, yeah. We don't want them to fail right before we go to grandma's house.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We are a third of the way through your amazing list, and we are getting to something I have never heard of. So talk to me.
This is the good part now,
this
right?
This is the good one. All right. So talk to me about, we're at number 5, and it's called, what is it called? Idler pulley?
It's the idler pulley. This is like the best supporting actor of your cooling system, because you've got belts and hoses and coolant and all this things going on. The thing that keeps that belt tight is that idler pulley. And there's a little bearing inside it where you can see the ratchet here. That bearing will fail, and it can actually stop the pulley from turning, and the pulley can actually fly off the engine. I've had this happen. So
really?
yeah. So when you replace the belt, you want to replace that pulley too. It's cheap. It will last for 40, 50,000 miles, but you do want to replace it when you replace the belt. So the thing I'm trying to get to here is when when you go to the service advisor and you say, hey, replace my coolant, and they say, hey, you know what? You should really replace your belt. You should really replace your idler pulley, and you should replace your hoses too. They're really not trying to take you for a ride. They're trying to prevent bigger issues down the road. This entire replacement might be, I don't know, $250, $300. So coolant, belts, hoses, and an idler pulley, not horribly expensive to save $1,000 replacement, repair down the road.
Oh, we do have we had a comment that came in. Hi, Nolan. How are you? I'm so glad you stopped by. He said he himself had an idler pulley fail on him, and he said it was not good.
I'm in the failed idler pulley club on a Saab 900. I should know better. It was making noise, and I knew it, and I should have gotten it replaced, but I was cheap, and it required a wrecker to take me about 200 miles home.
Oh, my goodness.
That was bad. It was bad.
Oh, my goodness. Well, hopefully, Nolan, you didn't have as bad a time as Craig did when your idler pulley failed. All right, audience, you heard it here first. Idler pulleys, important. Who knew? All right.
Exactly.
It sounds important. Once you showed where it was and how it oh my gosh. Nolan says it was a 96 Tahoe on the way to Reno. Nolan, hopefully you had better luck when you got to the casinos, my friend. All right. All right, we are doing great. I like this. I like the idea of this next one that's on your list, and especially since, anyone can do it. I got nails. I can even do this myself. No need to involve a mechanic. But you say the right time to replace your wiper blades is not in the spring, but in the winter. Is that right? And
do them both.
Yeah. As anyone can attest, when you're driving down a snowy road and with all the chemicals and the salt and you're doing, oh my gosh, you cannot see through those
no,
unless
terrible.
You have great wiper blades.
It's terrible. Wiper blades they're super cheap. They're, it might cost you $20 to replace both of them. do it when you get your oil changed. If you do that twice a year, you can replace these things for short money. They will help hugely in the wintertime, especially in, places where it snows, where there's road salt and all that kind of stuff. But they also, it's just as important to be able to see in the middle of the summer. So a fresh set of wiper blades, they'll stop the chattering that wipers will do sometimes. They'll clear the windshield. You'll be able to see miles ahead. It's a huge safety improvement. So I definitely encourage doing that.
And
Do
they
it
don't
every
cost a
week.
lot. Yes, they
Oh,
don't cost a lot,
right.
and they do make a difference. All
Yeah,
right.
and if you feel like you can't do it, if you go to an auto parts store, they will come out and do it for you for free.
I like that. I like free. All
Yep.
right. Craig, you're rocking through this list. We're halfway through the list already, and I dare say number 7, not one many people would think about doing. So talk to us a little bit about why should drivers change out their headlights?
All right. So th- this is more for people who are driving older vehicles.
Okay.
My daughter drives a 2003 Jeep Wrangler, and I drove it for a while. And the thing that we noticed immediately was at night, it was like you didn't even turn the headlights on. They were terrible. They're composite headlamps, they're halogen bulbs. They should have been pretty good, but they were just awful. So we invested in a good set of LED headlights, and they're the correct replacement. I don't advocate buying the cheapest LEDs that you can buy on Amazon, because they're usually pretty lousy, and they're sometimes they're brighter than they need to be, and these are the ones that people tend to complain about when they're out driving around at night. But a good quality set of LED headlamps, it's literally like night and day. Like you can see miles down the road, where we couldn't see it all driving this thing before. So I will say they're not cheap. The set that we got was like $300. I put them in. Um, you can buy them a little bit cheaper. One thing I will mention, in places, if you're going to be driving a lot in the snow, LED headlamps don't heat up the way that an incandescent bulb does. So ice and snow can actually collect on the headlamp, and that can cause a problem. They do sell ones that are heated. They're not that much more expensive. They have a little heating element in them that helps melt the snow and ice on the lens. But I'm serious. That's the best improvement that we made to that thing before my daughter took it. And I feel a lot better with her out driving around being able to see.
Right?
Yeah.
I do wanna say a great safety tip also, just make sure both of your headlights are working.
Oh, yeah.
Check all your, turn signals, brake lights. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just always important. So, couldn't be a better time than right before the
Yeah,
holidays to make
definitely.
sure all those lights are working.
And I'm in a state that does an annual inspection, so it's an annual safety inspection that the state does. But most states don't have inspections anymore. So you really are on your own to make sure that all your, brake lights and like license plate bulbs and all those things are functional. So check them all on a regular basis.
Perfect. All right. Next up, lucky number 8. Yeah, 8's a lucky number.
It
Okay,
is good.
so you say is the most important upgrade you could do to your vehicle to get through the winter. What? Craig, what are we looking at here when it comes to tires?
So this is really for anybody in the upper half of the country. Winter
Okay.
tires, an absolute must. Like, it snows everywhere. It even snows in Florida occasionally. I'm not recommending that people buy winter tires in Florida, but for places like, New England and, the middle part of the country that gets a lot of snow, the difference between winter tires and all season tires are dramatic. The rubber compound is different. It's designed to work at under 40 degrees, which, the rubber compound in an all season tire essentially turns to plastic under 40 degrees. They become really slippery. It doesn't matter what the tread pattern is. The tread pattern on a winter tire is much more designed to cut through the snow and get down to asphalt underneath. We have a spare set of wheels. We have a set of winter tires mounted on those, and we just swap them out every season. And the thing is, like it extends the life of your regular tires too, because you're driving around for 4 or 5 months with a different set of tires on. So you can actually extend the life of your regular tires by investing in some tires.
That
Huge difference.
is there any kind of price saving advice you can give to people? And tires aren't that cheap, are they?
They're not that cheap. It depends on what you drive. Like, most of the stuff that you're driving now has 16 and 17-inch wheels. They're not horribly expensive to buy an extra set of tires. It's probably, I'd say $600 a set mounted. As you get into things like, 20-inch wheels, they start getting much more expensive. But it's still like, if you're driving a car with 20-inch wheels on it, you've invested that much in the car, you can probably invest a little bit more in a set of winter tires, especially if you live here. Now, you can also go down if you're going to get a spare set of wheels with it. You can go down in the size of tire, which saves you a little bit on the cost of the tire. So that's a recommendation too. You don't need a tire. As a matter of fact, you don't want a tire with a huge tread patch, in the wintertime, because what happens is wider, fatter tires tend to ride up on the snow instead of, a narrower tire, which will cut through the snow a little bit better.
Very great advice. Okay, and one might argue as well, there
And
is
buy them
no
once in 5 years,
I was gonna say, there's no price you can put on
Right.
safety for you
Right.
and your family. So,
Exactly.
great advice. Okay, number 9 on your list is so important, and not just for your safety, audience, but for others on the road. So, I saw the picture that we put up just a little bit ago,
Yeah.
but Craig, let's talk about the places a driver should be removing snow and ice from their vehicle before they start driving. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, please remove snow from your roof. Please remove snow from your windshield and your back window. There are multiple states now where riding around with a pile of snow on your roof is going to result in a ticket. I mean, people have been injured, people have died. Like, it's a bad thing around here, especially because there's so much traffic. And what happens is, not only is it the day that it snows, but people will drive around for like a week with a stack of snow on the roof, and it starts to freeze and it turns to ice. And when it blows off in a huge sheet. And, people have had their windshield smashed. And so just take, 10 minutes, get yourself a decent snow brush. First of all, if you have an SUV, buy a snow rake that actually got a soft foam end on it, and it'll help you rake off the roof. You definitely want to do this. You want to, scrape your windshield and all that kind of stuff to make sure you can see well. Make sure you get the stuff off the roof.
Off the roof, off the hood, off the trunk.
Yep.
Basically, take off all the snow. Make
Exactly.
sure that there's little to no ice on your headlamps,
Yep.
on your tail light. And then if you have one of those fancy schmancy cars that has sensors all over the place, and let's be
Oh,
honest, if you have a car within the last, let's say, 6 to 8 years, you
yep.
got sensors, backup sensors, collision sensors, those kinds of things.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the sensors.
Definitely, you want to take a look at where those are. You want to know where they are ahead of time. You clean those off. They're going to get gunked up anyway as you're driving around the first couple of days after it snows, but it's important to clean those off. And it's also important to clean off the little tiny camera that is your backup camera. They're very small. Sometimes they're hidden like over the license plate, or it can be integrated into like a tailgate latch. Find out where that camera is, wipe them off occasionally. Some cars have a little washer that activates when you hit your washers on your windshield, but you're going to have to do this manually probably, but it's definitely a good thing to do.
Great advice, Craig. All right, we're rounding out our list coming up on number 10 out of 12. So let's talk about, and I love this. I've used it, and anyone who's needed it and had it has been thankful that they had it. Roadside assistance.
Yeah.
It's a game changer, isn't it? Talk to us a little bit about some of your favorites and why you love this and why you've included it
Exactly.
on your list.
Well, you know, the important thing to figure out is whether or not you already have it and don't even know it. So if you've got a relatively new car, you probably have it through your manufacturer. So check and see if you still have roadside assistance. They will, even like I had a sticker on a 96 Buick with a phone number on it that I could call, and they would haul that car to a Buick dealer. Now, they wouldn't haul it to my mechanic. They'd only haul it to a dealer. If you want to kind of choose where it goes, you've really got to pay for roadside assistance. But a lot of times your insurance company will offer it. A lot of times, like if you've bought an extended warranty, roadside assistance is part of that. It's almost like not a free service, but it's almost something that comes along with, you know, many other services that you may not have, or you may already have purchased. If you haven't, if you don't have it at all, then there's always, you know, the sort of, you know, AAAs and cross countries of the world that will sell you this service for a nominal fee. Like I have the AAA Plus, which gets me 100 miles of free towing. That, I mean, 100 miles is that's pretty good. Like if I had to pay for that at, you know, $15 a mile or whatever it is, it adds up to a lot of money really quickly. So it's something that I know my in-laws used to pay for my wife every year when she was younger. It's a good thing to, you know, do as a stocking stuffer for your kids or you know, or anybody in your family really, to keep them safe on the road all year.
Yeah, I mean, best laid plans. You know, we're talking about safety, we're talking about winterizing, but there's still
Yeah.
potholes, there's still black ice, there's
Yep.
still, you know, animals that run into the road.
Yeah,
There's
and
there's
you can
things
run
you
out of gas. You know, you
can,
can
yeah.
right, right, and nobody wants to be changing a tire beside the highway late at night. So you know, the best thing to do is call somebody at that point.
Oh my goodness, great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in the home stretch. Number 11, and I love this idea. I have one in all of my cars just in case, and thankfully have only needed it once. But like I said, game changer, love it. Craig, tell us more about what a great emergency kit should contain and why.
Sure. So, I mean, you can buy these things complete or you can assemble them yourselves with oftentimes better quality items that are in some of the kits. But a set of jumper cables, some kind of light. Usually there's a kind of flasher, like a little flashing red light that you can stick in the window. You know, some of these things have tire repair kits. Some of them have flashlights in them, which are great. You'll often see like emergency ponchos, which is just basically a plastic bag you can put over yourself. But I will tell you that, you know, in 1978 in New England, when we had the blizzard of 78 here, people saved themselves from freezing to death with just very simple, lightweight kind of poncho materials. So anything like that, like emergency blanket. I mean, throw a pair of, you know, gloves and a hat in those things. They're great. So it'll save you. You don't want to be walking, you know, definitely when you're out, you know, if you have an emergency. But what you want to be able to do is kind of shelter in place in your car. And if you can get yourself going again with a set of jumper cables, that's part of that kit. That'll help out a lot. Toe
Oh,
straps also a nice thing to have.
I love that idea. And that's right. Makes a great gift.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about great gifts. Just stick with us. We're going to cover just a few for the car lover in your life. But before we get to those great gifts, let's talk about the last one on your awesome list of 12 winterizing tips for safe driving during the holidays. And one could argue, what aisle do you find
Yeah.
education and experience in? Is it sold in stores? Craig, tell me more. How can you get this?
It is well, you know what? You can get yourself to a good driving school. And the one of my favorite things to come along in the last few years is manufacturer supported driving schools that help young drivers understand how to drive modern cars, because most of the advice that their dads and moms are giving them are based, you know, in the 1970s, and cars have changed a lot. They have ABS or anti-lock brakes, they have traction control, they have stability control. They're a different, they react differently than cars did many years ago. So if you can get a kit, I mean, and driver's ed in this country, we don't really teach safety stuff. We teach like, how to parallel park. You want to know how to apply the brakes effectively. And, it's different than it used to be. So a driving school, this one's the brakes program is supported by Kia. It's fantastic. I've taken it. It's a great program. There's a Ford one. Michelin actually has a pretty good driver safety, teen driver safety class. I would look at any one of these things. Oftentimes they are free, but even if you need to pay for it, it's so well worth it. I've learned so much from these things. Your kids will have a blast. They'll be timid about it at first, but they really will have fun at it too.
That's another great gift idea. That's wonderful. Okay, so we do have a few more minutes, and we're going to cover some great gifts for the auto enthusiasts on your list. So
this is all stuff I expect from you. In the next few weeks, you'll send me this in the mail. I'm
yes.
sure.
I'm sure it's going to come. Just stand by your mailbox. All right. So, Craig, I love this because the first one on your list, I could totally get that for either my son or my husband. Let's talk about the first one on your list. I don't want to ruin the surprise. You have the beard. Be the Santa.
So it is the Lego. Any one of the Lego automotive kits are great. This one's kind of like, if you've got younger kids, this is a great option. This has got the new Ford Bronco plus the Ford GT, super cool cars. This is like $49.99, and it's available too. A lot of the Lego stuff gets blown out really quickly in the winter months. The Technic kits, they're really expensive, but they're really fun to put together. I love doing this stuff. I would recommend this to anybody.
Yeah, and how much does something like that cost?
It's like $50. Short money.
Good. All right. Ironically, the second one on your gift giving list is actually what I gave my brother last year.
See, this is what I'm telling you. These are great gifts.
It is a great gift. I dare say I don't know if he knew how to use it, but let's talk about an impact wrench.
The second one is the impact wrench. I bought one of these last year. It's the greatest thing I own. I bought, I think a lot of people overbuy these. So they buy like a 1/2 inch. They're great. They're fantastic, but they're way more expensive. The 3/8 inch will take lug nuts off all day long. And that's all most people use these things for. They're really great. They're like, I don't know. I think they're like $100. So, well worth the money. Buy an extra battery for it. I have 2 batteries. I've mentioned the Cobalt one because I use their cordless chainsaw too, and I can swap the batteries between. They're great.
Agreed. Another great one, if you're going to get the impact wrench, another kind of wrench, a torque wrench. And I like this one because it has that click action.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit more about this. And it's a good, I wouldn't really call it a stocking stuffer, but it's up there.
Yep, $49.95. This is the Craftsman one, but everybody makes one. I have a version of this thing. You basically so this is for when you've taken stuff apart and you're putting it back together, and the manufacturer actually has a torque spec, right? So you've got to, tighten this to 50 foot-pounds. This is exactly what you want to use to do that. You don't want to tighten it until it won't turn anymore, because you can break things that way or not get it tight enough. So this is really, gives you some confidence that you've gotten things fully tight. This example is $49.98. You can buy these at Lowe's. You can buy them, pretty much anywhere.
Perfect. I love it. And I especially love this last one. And honestly, if you don't have this on your car, or if the person on your list doesn't have this on their car, what a great gift. Talk to me about a remote start.
Yeah. So there are fancy versions of this thing that will work your, remote door locks and all that kind of thing. But this is just the straight ahead 1-button car starter. And they're like, in the winter months, these are a godsend. I love a remote starter. I'm going to be in the market for one of these myself at some point. And this one, the 1-button one, is like $89. So I tried to keep everything under $100. Not super expensive. So and you need to pay to have it installed, or you can install it yourself, but nominal fee for doing that kind of thing.
Oh, it's a great gift. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Craig, you came to us with great safety advice on winterizing your car. You came to us with great gift ideas. You're amazing, Craig. I'm so glad you are the gift that keeps on giving. We did have a question that came in, by the way.
Oh, great.
If we could throw one at you, it's from Brandon, and he says he's got all-wheel drive on his car. Does he really need to look at new tires?
Brandon, I'm going to tell you, you're going to need winter tires. Now, I'll tell you why. All-wheel drive will help you accelerate. It will not help you brake, and it won't help you turn. So those are the two other things that you're going to need to do when you're out driving around in the winter months. All-wheel drive is great. All-wheel drive with winter tires will go anywhere. I will take rear-wheel drive with winter tires over all-wheel drive with all seasons. I'll put that out there. I would rather drive it, yeah, because I know I can stop and I know I can turn.
That is a big statement, Craig.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some hate mail on that one.
That's a big statement. Rear wheel drive. Wow.
Yep.
All right. Craig, you're amazing. I just love it.
Oh, thanks.
Conversation. Definitely going to have you back on another bestride.com Facebook Live soon. So audience, make sure you stay tuned, and you can catch up with Craig Fitzgerald right here on bestride.com. His newest blog just came out. Craig, talk to us about your newest blog. What you writing about?
We just put a list of best winter vehicles together. So all of these things
topic.
Yeah, exactly. So and this is based on judging that the New England Motor Press Association did last year to try to give people a heads up on vehicles that will get you through the winter.
Oh, that is a great topic. Oh my gosh. You always have the most interesting topics. I really, really love it. And yes, you can find that on bestride.com. Speaking of, if you didn't know it already, I'm here to tell you Best Ride is the smartest, easiest way to find a car online by showing you numerous vehicles to consider and helping you narrow it down to the one that's right for you. You can search by body style, you can connect with local car dealers, you can read car reviews, industry news, and other auto-related news, and you can search by new, by used, certified pre-owned, the make, model. You can even look at cars that are available right in your own zip code. It's a great time to buy a car. Best Ride can help. Search millions of cars, find your best ride. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding our broadcast and our topics, feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana, and I'd love to hear from you. You can email me directly at eliana@bestride.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today. I hope to see you all on another broadcast from your friends at bestride.com. And on behalf of Craig Fitzgerald, who is wearing that beard like nobody's business, and the rest of the amazing crew at bestride.com, please allow me to wish you a very happy and safe holiday season. And we look forward to catching up with you in 2022. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.